This is Deep Waters here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel where we take a deeper dive into boxing's top stories. I am George D. Metellus. I'm joined by the champions Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi and Hall of Fame trainer Teddy Atlas to talk about Fight Week with Shakur Stevenson. He will be defending his WBC lightweight title against Artem Harutyunyan, I hope I said that right, in Newark this coming Saturday. Now, Shakur Stevenson, one of the best fighters on the planet, but recently he has been known, or he has taken some criticism for not putting on the most entertaining of fights, despite the fact that he is an absolute technician in the ring. All right, Chris, why do you think there is kind of a not that much interest in a Shakur Stevenson fight, considering the fact that he's one of the best in the world?
Well, I think there is, but people want to see him at the highest level. They want to see him in there with the Tanks and the Devin Haney's. That's gonna get the interest. I have a quick story about when he fought Nakatila, I think the South African fighter, on a top-ranked card. And Bob Arum grabs me after the card. He got a lot of flack for that performance. He was avoiding the right hand of Nakatila because he's a good puncher, big guy, very awkward fight, not a lot happened. And Bob says to me, "What'd you think about the kid's performance?" This is Bob Arum, mind you. And I said, Bob, he shut the guy out, but honestly, you just got to put him in with the best guys because he's going to do the same thing to the best guys as he does to these guys. Yeah. And he's not going to get the recognition for beating these guys that way. But he's going to get recognition when he beats the tip-top guys the same way. If he shuts out a Tank Davis, actually his next fight was Oscar Valdez. He shut out Oscar Valdez. Yeah. So then everyone's like, oh man, this kid's awesome. Meanwhile, he did the exact same thing to Oscar Valdez that he did to Nakatila. It wasn't exciting, but he dominated the fight. Right. And De Los Santos, another one. People are really coming down about De Los Santos fight, but De Los Santos is a very dangerous guy, and he shut him down. So, it's a very nuanced sport, and his style is defense first, and people don't like that, especially when it comes to entertainment value. It's not that entertaining. Unless you're a boxing purist who really likes the technical aspect of the sport, you're not going to enjoy a Shakur Stevenson fight the same way you're going to enjoy a Tank Davis fight. And that's just what it is. It's apples and oranges. But the guy is still fantastic, and it still matters, all these fights. But people want to see him in the top level fights to see him do what he does with the best in the world.
Teddy, what do you make of the lack of interest, for lack of a better term, with Shakur Stevenson heading into Fight Week against Artem Harutyunyan?
He's got too much talent.
Yeah.
People, especially boxing fans, they want you to earn their adulation, their dollar that they pay to watch you on pay-per-view or to go to the fights. They don't care that you just have pure talent, and he does. I mean, he's brilliantly talented. But they want to see more than that, because fans will look at talent and they will say, well, I don't have that kind of talent. I had to do it this way. I had to earn my way. That's the key word. I had to earn my way. He's got a silver spoon. And even though he didn't, even though he came from a tough place, they're not looking at that. They're just looking at a golden boy, sort of look and saying, he got too much talent. He got more talent than I ever got. And, And I'm supposed to applaud this guy for just being talented? No, he's got to do what Sugar Ray Leonard did. Sugar Ray Leonard was as talented as any fighter in the world, ever. Happens to be one of my favorite fighters of all time. He can fit in with any era. But until he fought Duran, he was in a little bit of the same syndrome where, yeah, he's talented. He's the golden boy. He's got commercials. No fighters had commercials. He's got a 7-Up commercial. He's got a perfect smile. He's good looking, and he's so talented. He's a gold medalist. He got too much talent. He was given stuff I wasn't given. He didn't earn it. I'm not giving him myself. I'm not going to applaud him this way. I'm not going to believe in him. I'm not going to be on his side. Not until he gives me something else. And he did. He fought Duran. He might have fought the wrong way. He did the fight the right way. He fought on the inside with an inside fighter, with a ferocious fighter, when he could have fought on the outside like he did on the second fight. But he did. He fought on the inside. And he fought and he lost the fight, but he won the fans. He won everybody. Because now he wasn't just a talented guy. Now he was one of them. Now he earned He earned their respect. Now he was more than just the golden boy. He was a fighter.
All right. Paulie, what do you think about Shakur Stevenson there and the lack of interest heading into his championship fight?
I said, all right, he's talented. Let's leave it at that. He's talented. Right? All right. But I'll tell you what, he's very, very good. He's not just talented. The weird thing about boxing is, I want to see him against this guy or that guy. I want to see him do. Okay, so tell those guys to fight him. What I'm going to tell you, those fights aren't happening not because of Shakur. Shakur wants those fights, and then everybody wants to make like, it's not worth enough money, bro. Why are you guys counting these guys' money? You should want to see the fights, and that's it. The best fighting the best, and that's it. Let the business handle itself. I love when fans be like, well, he's not worth that much money, bro. Bro, what are you talking about, bro? Out of what, are you getting a cut? No. So shut up and demand the best fight possible. If you don't think Shakur can handle the best fighters, then tell the best fighters, demand the best fighters fight Shakur Stevenson, as opposed to, not mentioning his name, detouring around him when they mention his name, and so on and so forth, calling him boring. Anytime you see a guy not want to fight somebody, they always try to downplay them. That's the oldest trick in the book already. Leonard at first didn't want to fight Hearns. He made, if you saw the Legendary Nights video, if you remember from HBO, you see in the press conference like, I'll fight Tommy Hearns when he has the popularity of Roberto Duran. He was looking to diminish Hearns a little bit before the fight finally did happen. But here's the thing. You don't win just on talent. Yes, you gotta look good. You gotta be exciting. But again, this is the only sport where you get that. Like, again, I brought it up in the past. The New Jersey Devils had the neutral ice trap, and they were boring, and the NHL changed the rules for them. But the other teams in the NHL didn't get to say, you know what? On the way to the Stanley Cup, I don't want to play the New Jersey Devils, so I'm going to just detour them, and I'm going to go to the finals directly. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. You got to fight the best. You got to play the best if you want to be the best. And these fights aren't happening. Everybody's making like, oh, well, Shakur, who was he fought? What are they waiting for to fight him? If you're going to downplay him like this, if you're so confident that he's not going to make you look boring yourself, why aren't you guys fighting him? Nobody's fighting him. Why aren't the fans demanding it? If he's so boring and you want to get rid of him, demand that you're an exciting fighter. Go fight him then and eliminate him.
Let me ask you one thing. There is a business aspect to it. Obviously, we understand that. Okay, everything you say, I'm with you. But what about if they turn around and say, I can't get paid to fight him? I can't get paid the right amount of money, the money that fight deserves, because he's not exciting.
Well, you know what, guys?
I'll tell you what. It's not up to us to count these guys' money. Back in the day, the fights happened. The fans weren't counting other people's money. You know what I mean? Let the business play that.
Some fights you fight for money. Some fights you fight for opportunity.
But let the business play that aspect. Did Ali ever downplay Ken Norton? Ali didn't have to fight Ken Norton. Nobody knew Ken Norton was. But Ali fought Ken Norton, right? And then he had trouble with him. He ended up having to fight the guy 3 times because everything was controversial. So you know what?
Broken jaw in his first fight with him. Yes.
Nobody was counting other people's money. Let the money be counted by the parties involved. Nobody needs to make those excuses. And let me tell you something else. Everybody makes like, oh, these guys, that you mentioned the Leonard, oh, he fought the exciting fight with Duran. I guarantee you nobody makes those choices on purpose. You end up getting drawn into that kind of fight on fight night. Nobody intends to be in that kind of fight. Everybody,
I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I'm just saying it happened. And when it happened, he won the fans. That fight, that performance, he showed the fans for the first time that he had more than just pure talent.
And it benefited him.
You want to call it heart, whatever.
And it benefited him, but he got sucked into that fight. Duran gets credit for that. Leonard didn't on purpose fight that kind of fight. He wound up in that kind of fight, and then he had to heart it out. And you know what? Good, more power to him. People say the same thing. I know the Billy Conn, Joe Louis fight. Oh, he got too brave for his own good. Even Billy Conn said it in the post-fight interview. I watched that fight one time. You know what happened to Billy Conn? He got tired from running around for 12 rounds. He got tired, sat in the pocket, and got knocked out. He didn't make a conscious decision to say, "Oh, I can beat this guy up. I'm going to stay in the pocket." He got tired. Well, you know what? Then you're gonna swerve it and you're gonna play it your way. You're gonna say, "I fought like a man. I fought with heart. I deserve credit." You didn't mean to. You got drawn into that fight if you run Leonard against Duran. The second fight, you made sure he didn't get drawn into that fight. Billy Conn didn't actually mean to go stay toe-to-toe with Joe Louis. He got tired from running around for 12 rounds.
But
and
all
the
that
13th round, he got
matters in
knocked
that
out.
fight, though, Paulie, I'm finished with this. All that matters is he showed what people weren't sure that he had.
Well, you need somebody good enough to get him there.
He showed that Warriors mentality.
You need somebody good enough to get him there, and they won't fight him. They won't fight him. What a choice. He's got no choice. They won't fight him.
Bring it
right,
over. Bring it over. You defeat no purpose.
We'll
Bring
take-
it
It's
over.
overcooking. It's so good. These fights are overcooking. They want to pack you overcooked. It was no good.
We'll keep it going here on the other side here on Deep Waters. Welcome back to Deep Waters. Woo, that was fire. The way that last segment ended. All right, Shakur Stevenson. Chris, does he have to change his style to attract more fans? Does he have to do anything in order to increase his popularity and to kind of continue the conversation that Teddy and Paulie were having before the break?
No. Keep winning.
Okay.
Keep winning. I mentioned it in the last segment.
So people don't appreciate
Just fight the better guys and completely shut them out. Just Floyd Mayweather did it.
They gotta fight him.
Well, listen, I mean, yeah, well, he's got to get in the ring with those guys. Of course, they need to get in with him regardless. But I don't think he needs to change his style.
Okay.
And I always use the reference, you got to dance with the girl you brought to the ball, right? He got here because of how good he is stylistically, as a technician, as a pure boxing boxer, right? Teddy, your old buddy Max Kellerman used to love boxing purists, right? He loved Pernell Whitaker. That was his favorite fighter. Defensive wizard, got dragged into some bigger fights as he got up higher in weight class. Floyd Mayweather, another guy. People talk so badly about him. I think in hindsight, his career is looking a lot better. Yeah. Because now we're comparing him to these other guys. And yes, he had that Diego Corrales fight, which was a perfect matchup between two undefeated guys, Diego being really, really dangerous, and Floyd, that's when he was Pretty Boy, and Pretty Boy used to knock people out, went out there and did his thing. Shakur's not that guy, but he does have some ass whoopings on his career, on his record. Jamel Herring, Jamel's tough and a very, very good defensive fighter, and Shakur busted him up.
Yeah, 10th round TKO.
Yeah. The Japanese fighter that he just fought a couple fights back knocked him out too, beat him up, rusted him up. People didn't think that.
Yoshino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Shakur has these. It's just the hot and cold nature of the entertainment value of his fights. I don't think I don't think he's had any bad performances, honestly. They're just not entertaining. He wins more, like, so many of the rounds. Like, even his fights that people really try to poo-poo, he wins 10 out of 12 rounds of these fights.
Right.
He's just that guy. He shuts people out, and I think he just needs to be in there with recognized names so people cannot deny his excellence.
So people don't appreciate his style? Is that kind of the issue?
It's just not fan-friendly. I get it. I'd rather watch Shakur. I'd rather watch Tank Davis too. I like what Shakur does. I really like what Shakur does. I love the nuance. I want to sit there. But sometimes I want to sit there and I want to watch a classic drama movie where I got to pay attention to the storyline. And sometimes I want to watch Jean-Claude Van Damme throw high kicks. It's just what you feel like doing. And Shakur is just a different level of entertainment value when you're watching him.
All right, Paulie, what do you think of Shakur Stevenson? Do people not appreciate his style? And does he have to kind of switch up a little bit just to attract more fans?
I don't know, man. I got to keep this PC. But when it's too much of a high IQ, I'll put myself into it. You can be self-deprecating, right? And then you can keep it PC when you're making fun of yourself. You would have put me in. It's like if you would have put me in trigonometry class in high school, you would have got nowhere, bro. I don't know my ass from my elbow when it comes to trigonometry. Right? I don't know what I'm doing. That's it. It's basically the problem here. Boxing fans, we got great fans, but really, when the IQ is way too high, you're gonna lose the understanding of the majority of them. It's not because they're stupid. It's just boxing at a highest IQ is so complicated that you're probably only gonna understand it if you've done it. And then even then, some guys don't get it. So I don't know that it's the fans' fault, so to speak. It's just this guy's IQ is so high. Where I fault the fans is they don't make demands of the fighters who don't fight them. They don't make demands of all of the superstars, of the big name fighters who don't fight Shakur Stevenson. Because you know what? For those fans out there who say, he's not going to hold him off, he doesn't have enough power, he'll get knocked out. So demand the fight. Put the full court press on and press your guy to go do to Shakur Stevenson what you think he's going to do. Because obviously your guy doesn't believe it as much as you do, or the fight would happen, right? So I think it's a misunderstood style, but it is a very, very effective style. There is an entertainment value to the sport, but there's entertainment value to all sports. It doesn't mean we just X out the teams in other sports that are not exciting. Boxing is the only sport with this idiot mindset where it's like, oh, you got to also be entertaining. What about whoever wins, wins? Everybody fights each other. That's the problem. Not everybody fights each other. If everybody fights each other, then you know what? You're going to get the winner, sometimes be the guy you want, and sometimes it's not going to be the guy you want. The NBA playoffs happen. Everybody plays each other. You know, if you don't make it, you lose, and that's it. You're out. But you don't get a choice of who you get to play once the playoffs come. You know, you put in, you're seeded, you go in, and you got to play that team. If you beat them, you move on. If you don't, you go home. Boxing is the only one that doesn't do that. And the fans also make excuses for this thing to happen. Look at me, I'm spitting all over myself. I can't take it anymore.
All right, Teddy, so it's your turn. Go ahead and get the baton from Paulie there and tell us about the style of Shakur Stevenson and weighing on the conversation here.
I'm always spitting all over myself. So, Paulie, I'm glad you're here with me. Thank you very much. Look, Chris said it right at the beginning. It's not that complicated. It's not that complex. He's got to do two things. He's got to keep winning, and he's got to fight the best guys. Because people will tolerate that style, even if that's not their forte, even though if that's not what they like the best. Everyone has different flavors, different things they like. But they will deal with it if you're fighting the best guys and you're winning. Obviously, but if you're fighting the very best guys, the most dangerous guys, the most talented guys, then they will eventually come around and they give you their due. They give you your due. They say, yeah, you know, I don't love the style and everything, but my God, the way he disarmed that guy, the way he took that guy apart piece by piece by piece. You know, there's people that are always going to want to see Shark Week. You know, where you're going to go and you're going to watch the great white shark and you're going to see him take one big gulp of those poor seals. I feel sorry for those seals. You know, he goes in there and he takes a big seal. But there's always going to be also the fans that they like piranha, where they take little pieces, just little pieces. Then after a while, there's nothing left. If you give him that, and he's capable of that, being that guy, being a surgeon, you know, a metaphor that we like to use in boxing, where he can take them apart little by little, and at the end of the day, there's nothing left. And you even catch yourself. You say, whoa, how did he get to that? How did I get a skeleton here? There was a body here before, and I didn't see anybody come in there and just, you know, take a saw and take away the body. But now all of a sudden, it's just a skeleton. If you could do it that way, even if you do it subtly, even if you do it like Chris said, with nuances in this sport, it will be appreciated. At the end of the day, if you're doing it with dangerous guys, if you're doing it with the best guys out there, at the end, they will appreciate that. And that's all you can do. I mean, Paulie made a great point. I mean, you're going to go and change for the sake of somebody else. You're going to change your style and you're going to put your career in peril, where you're not going to do the things that you were born to do, that you trained to do. No, you're going to do those things, but you got to do them with that style. You got to do them at the highest level, and you got to do them where people say, at the end of the day, you know what? I appreciate it. It's kind of like somebody, you know, they like rock and roll, but then one day they go to the opera. You get them to finally go in there, and they hear that. They hear that. The angels singing, and they say, not bad. It didn't give me earaches. It didn't shake the walls the way I'm used to getting the walls shaking and get me going crazy. But it did something for me. He can do something for you if you can just let him fight the best guys and appreciate that.
But Teddy, I want to piggyback off that. That's a great point. But the problem is sometimes ignorance can't appreciate. You know, I may not be able to appreciate the opera. I like rock and roll. I may not understand how to appreciate the opera. I have to burst myself a little bit more in appreciating the opera. I always talk about this with artwork. Sometimes it looks like a bunch of paint just splashed on a wall. Somebody tells me it's worth $6 million. I'm like, what is that? I don't
understand.
It's
still paint splashed. I don't get Paulie. I agree with you, but it's still paint splashed on the wall. You know what I mean? You know,
I was gonna say, it looks like it is.
But
boxing's different.
Boxing's ignorance.
Boxing's an art too. Boxing's an art too, but you know, I keep using the word, it's a nuanced sport, and there's technical aspects to it that take decades. I say it all the time. Boxing takes a lifetime to master, and nobody's done it because your body can't hold up to it. No one's mastered fighting because it takes too long to learn it, and your body just can't hold it.
We had this conversation one time,
Yeah.
Chris. We know more about boxing now after we're done fighting. Because our bodies didn't last us long
Problem
enough.
is, my 40-year-old body can't
knowledge.
do what my 25-year-old body could do, but my brain is better now than ever in terms of boxing. So
Youth is wasted on the young.
Youth is wasted on the young. Boxing is far too difficult, far too complicated to learn. That's why Teddy knows more. Teddy's forgotten more than both of us put together know because he's been in the sport for so long. And that's just the reality of the sport. It's a very nuanced, complicated sport, and fans need to be educated. That's what hurts our sport so much because you have to be so educated in what you're watching, and that's why you lose the brilliance of a guy like Shakur Stevenson.
I have a feeling that when Shakur Stevenson's career is over and he keeps winning and he keeps going up and winning belts in multiple divisions, that's when we'll appreciate his technique and his.
Hey, Willie Pep would not sell tickets today.
But I want to get the champs back. When he says fans need to be educated, we're not calling you dumb, guys. You know, we're not calling you dumb. Because he said fans need to be educated. I was like, that's going to go over like a fart in church. It's no good. We don't want to say it that way.
I mean educated like they got like I'm talking about like physics. Boxing is complicated.
That's the way to go over good with the fans. Beautiful.
Yeah, that might be our new catchphrase here on Deep Waters. All right, quick break, and we'll talk more Shakur Stevenson here on ProBox TV. Welcome back to Deep Waters. We continue our discussion about Shakur Stevenson. He has that big fight coming up this week against Artem Harutyunyan, and he is in the last fight of his contracted deal with Top Rank. Now, there has been no news yet on whether he will renew with Top Rank or go and become a free agent. So, Teddy, what is next for Shakur Stevenson?
Well, he's moving into the business end of the field, and that means that you want to have leverage. He's got a chance to have leverage. That's what's next. Where whether it's to re-sign with Top Rank or to be a free agent, you want people to be interested in you. That means this performance in some ways is the biggest performance of your life. Even though it's not that big star name, it's not that big David fight, it's not that, any of that. But it is that. When it comes to where you go from now, are you going to get the office that you think you're worthy of? You're going to put a lot of people in that potential center with people that love you. It's your hometown, and they appreciate your skills. But from the business side, people want to see, can he entertain us? Can he give us that it factor? And even though the two champions brought up great points before, that you're not going to change your style to please somebody else. You're going to use your God-given style, the things you work so hard on to get a silver medal, to get a world title. You're going to use that. There's no doubt. But there are opportunities sometimes that come along in life that offer you something a little different. This is an opportunity, I'm not going to say to always be a different Shakur, but on this night, he's got a guy. And I'm not knocking his opponent, but he's got a guy who's a decent boxer, a guy that looks the part. You know, he stands on the outside, uses the jab, sets the table, looks to eat with the right hand. He can control range pretty good. You know, he does things the right way. But I just said it, he's a decent boxer. If you're that star, and we all think he is, but if you're that star, then you got to go and act like a star on this night. You got to maybe do something that everybody's been calling for, something that nobody's sure if you can do. And that's do what we talked about earlier, where Mayweather had his moment with Corrales, where he went and got that guy. This is a moment where he changes up his style a little bit, where he can be more aggressive. And if there was ever a time in both ways, as far as what's in front of him, to do it, and the moment to do it, this is the time to be more aggressive, to go to the body, to do the things that will make people say, hey, I want to sign him again. Or no, I'm going to sign him. You can't sign him. You lost your chance. To make yourself that guy. This is that chance. That's what this is about, I think, on this particular night.
All right, Paulie, what do you see as next for Shakur Stevenson?
Yeah, I echo the sentiments of our esteemed colleague, Teddy Alice. You know, I think this performance is a very big performance. And in terms of value, because you're a free agent after this fight, this is the market you deal with, right? The excitement value does matter in terms of your market value. And so he's going to have to, the way he looks in this fight, he doesn't have the easiest guy in front of him, but Harutyunyan is not a known entity, the most known entity at lightweight. Obviously, it's a big opportunity for Harutyunyan. He's going to come hungry, but you've got to do something that impresses, especially coming off the heels of a guy like Tank Davis, who just took on a Frank Martin that was relatively known, and just dismantled him completely, and then dominated him and got a stylish knockout as well. So,
and how good Loma looked. You're right.
And how good Loma looked, against Kambosos as well. So you've got to sort of keep up with the Joneses, as far as your upkeeping your value in the lightweight division. Shakur is possibly the best guy in the weight class. Are you going to make yourself valuable enough to where these promoters that may be able to get you these big fights that you want, that you desire so much, will want to sign you, will want to keep you, will want to go to play the market for you? They'll what do they call it? The auction for you. You know what I'm saying? But who's going to offer more money for you?
Bid for you.
Bid for you. Thanks, Teddy. I was looking for that word. Thank you. And so bid for you so that you can be in a position to get those big fights. A lot of times we say, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way against a guy who's a top guy. It's nice that you're doing it against these guys, but you got to do it against the top guy. You need to be with a team that can get you these top guys. Shakur Stevenson is one of the best fighters on the planet. Is he going to be able to get these top guys? Because these top guys, I'll be the first one to say it, I'll be the last one to say it, they don't want to fight him. What is he going to do to get them, to attract them into the ring?
All right, Chris, what's next for Shakur Stevenson?
Well, you guys covered it top to bottom in such a great fashion. I consider myself an out-of-the-box thinker at times, and I think that Shakur Stevenson might stay within the box. Listen, normally when Top Rank is getting, is coming to the close of a contract, they put you in with a killer, and they put you in with somebody that they have attachments to. This isn't the case. This almost looks like a showcase fight for Shakur to look good, get a win, but also he has the deal already signed up for Top Rank. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know anything. I didn't hear anything. I'm literally just saying something different than you two brilliant guys just already spoke about.
That's a good point.
So
Chris, that's a good point.
So it is a good point.
Potentially, I think Shakur might be extending that deal with Top Rank. Again, I have no inside knowledge about this.
Because usually they try to cash you out, make the most money possible for
Top
you.
Rank always, especially Top Rank. I've seen it time and time again, over and over and over for years at a time. This fight's not that fight. To your point,
right.
Teddy,
Top Rank is like, you're leaving us now? Okay, I got a
here
nice
you go. Here's King Kong.
I got a nice easy fight with you against a guy named King Kong.
Yeah. We got Godzilla for you, and guess what? He signed to us now too. So that's normally how it goes. So the way this is played out seems like he might be sick of that. Also, if you think about it, what's going on? Nuts and bolts now. Lomachenko and Baranchek.
Baranchek, yep.
Who are they with?
Top Rank.
Top Rank.
Yep.
So now you got two other potential world championship belts that are with Top Rank. Yes, they're talking about Lomachenko and Shakur and Tank. That fight happens. Boom, you got two belts now over with Tank and, now whoever wins that fight. Lomachenko and Tank, there's two belts over there. Then you got Shakur. You make the Baranchek fight, super easy to make. Does Baranchek beat Shakur? No. So now you got two belts over there. Unification. Now we can go across the pond. Now we can go across promoters. He does not need to go over to PBC side in order to get that Tank fight, I don't think. I think he can collect the belts on this side and then force that fight later on anyway. Because we live in the world, the time of unification. So I don't know if it makes a lot of sense for him to go anywhere else. Listen, you're going to go to Matchroom? Then what? All the belts are with Top Rank and PBC, and then you got Zepeda, who's with Golden Boy?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you look at the whole landscape, what's going on at 135, it makes the most sense for Shakur to stay with Top Rank and look to vie for the Tank fight as a unification.
Yeah, and speaking of the landscape of 135, go ahead, Paulie, real quick.
Card, though, here's my wild card thought. Does that mean Zepeda is going to remain the number one contender across all sanctioning bodies and not get a title fight?
Here's what happens to Zepeda, Paulie.
He's the new Benavidez?
He gets touched by nobody. Nobody. He doesn't get any. He is the odd man out, the poor guy. He turns into Philip Ergovich.
What a scumbag business.
He turns into Philip Ergovich waiting for the IBF.
Well, guess what?
Scumbag business.
Well, guess what? We talk about Valdez
odd
on
man out.
Who's the Man. where we break down the best fighters at 135. So you definitely want to check that out on Who's the Man on ProBox TV, your boxing channel, where we talk about Cepeda and all the other champions at 135. All right, that does it for Deep Waters. Teddy, Paulie, and Chris, great work as usual. Thank you very much. Always great stuff here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.